Welcome to Single Mom Talks with Mary and Bree, keeping it real and raw about single motherhood and all the other things that come up in life. I'm so excited to be here with you.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited too. Like for those of you who are listening, we have been working on this project for a long time.
For months.
We've been having these conversations with each other for a long time. Like, and it was like, we need to be sharing this with the world. So here we are.
Yes. Well, and we kept running into like these crazy like technology obstacles, and we were like, we want this to be professional and we want it to sound this way and do this way, and we need our intro and our whatever, and we were just really getting hung up on all of those things, and those things of wanting it to be professional sounding, and like all those other podcasts that we hear that have been going forever. It actually became like a stumbling block and like a stopper to us doing something. So we literally today were like, forget it. We'll keep working on that other stuff. It'll get here eventually, but we're just going to record the first podcast tonight, and so we can get this out here.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. And you know, just exactly with what you were just saying right there, I think a lot of us are waiting for that perfect moment to start. And then we spend our lives waiting for that perfect moment to start, trying to get everything together that we just don't start. Yet how much further along would we be if we just did it? If we just showed up, if we just started and was willing to be okay with being a beginner, and was willing to be okay to like completely suck, because let's be honest, we've never been single moms before, and this whole thing is like a bunch of suck. Like, there is so much like stuff that's like, yeah, I'm not prepared for this. Like,
it is like learning. No. Well, just like nothing prepares you for motherhood, nothing prepares you for doing motherhood like in a way that motherhood was not designed to be done as. And it's like growth on steroids. Like, I hear a lot of people say that about entrepreneurship, which both of us are entrepreneurs also. And that is 100% true. And so then you've got entrepreneurship combined with single motherhood. And it's like, oh my gosh, it's intense, isn't it? Like, you've had that kind of week this week, like a crazy intense week this week.
Oh my gosh. Yes. All the emotions coming up, all the things. Like, literally yesterday, I like text Mary. I'm like, dude, I'm having a panic attack. I can't do anything else today. Like, I know we had scheduled to work on this together, but I just am fried. I'm going to bed. I am just done. And she was like, all right, how can I pray for you? How can I support you? And that's one thing that about my and Mary's relationship is, we've been here to be able to support each other in ways that I don't think either of us really could have been or gotten to the point where we are without each other. Like, there's just something powerful about reaching out to those around you who are in the same situation as you and growing together and being that sounding board with each other, and like just that support. It's so crucial. But yeah, going back to like my day, it just all hit me. It just all was so raw about like the anger and the anguish coming up about how I have to provide for me and my 4 babies, right? And like wanting to go back to school and like having to provide for myself in ways like I have to start all over with my retirement and with like, you know, I don't have like health insurance stuff and like all the things. And it just was like all coming down, plus trying to be, you know, like Mary was saying, like, we're both entrepreneurs. I'm trying to build this business, and it just was like so heavy, heavy. It's easy to put out on there, hey, I'm doing amazing. And, you know, I try to focus on, you know, putting that foot forward and focusing on how like
what's
my
going
life
right.
Blessed. Yes. Oh, for sure. But it just was like, sometimes it all catches up and you have to sit in the muck and you have to look at it and you have to feel it and you have to realize where you're at and be okay with the mess. And it's okay to be there sometimes, but just don't camp out.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Well, that's where you said something earlier that was kind of key. Like it's good to have people that have gone through the same or similar things that you have, or are in the midst of it and that sort of thing. But another level to that, though, is that they're there, but they have a forward progression mindset. Like they don't have a mindset where they're wallowing in pity party. It's like, it's a growth mindset, and it's I'm going to make the best out of the situation that I possibly can. And also, like, the cool thing that Bree and I have worked on and developed, like in a friendship here, is showing up and being like, well, what do you need from me right now? Like, do you need me to just listen? Do you need advice? Do you want feedback? What do you need for right now? And then we've each learned and are learning to advocate for ourselves. That's been a huge learning point for me. I'm betting it has for you too, but for being a single mom, because both of us got married really early as well. So we didn't have a whole lot of time like out on our own, or any time out on our own, being single. And so again, we were learning these things kind of a trial by fire, but with 4 little kids in tow, because I have 4 kids, Bree has 4 kids. And so like learning these healthy, self-sufficient ways of being versus the codependent ways of being that the majority of us just kind of tend to go towards. I think it's just a natural man thing. Like, do you? I think most of us kind of tend to just do that.
Yeah. And I mean, look at the media that we're fed. I mean, as a child, like we're taught, like this Prince Charming comes and saves us.
Right.
But then
yes.
here we are. Now we have to be the damn prince, like for ourselves.
Yeah.
Like Jesus.
Yeah.
We've been programmed in that way of like just realizing like that codependency, like it's no surprise, right? It's no surprise,
right?
In these situations that we've kind of had that experience where it's hard to express our needs, and we're so caught up in like trying to take care of everyone else that we neglect ourselves. And at the same time, like I want to advocate for the man as well, because oh my gosh, we need the men.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like 1000%. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying, oh my gosh, we don't need the men. No, we need the men, but that's a whole nother conversation.
Life works better when you're together. It really does.
Oh, 1000%.
Absolutely.
1000%. But yeah, I totally have to agree with you on that. Like we're not, I mean, we were so young. And the things that we've learned in our relationship to like hold each other accountable even, and just be like, hey, how are you doing? Like, what's up? How can I support you? Do you want me to listen, or do you want feedback? You know, it's just been so phenomenal. And it's so funny. Like me and Mary joke all the time. We're like, this is just preparing us for marriage. Like our relationship is for marriage.
Because we have a couple different things that we do together, like on a business level. And it has been the funniest thing to like navigate through and figure out. And like I was even thinking today, I was like, holy cow, like, is this going to be like when it's married? Because what we found is so often, like when I am on and ready and going, Bree is crashing. And and it's the opposite. When Bree is on and ready and going, then I'm crashing. And so one of us seems to constantly be waiting on the other one. And we're like, like, how do we even make this work? And I just had this thought today, like, I can totally see how that would be insanely frustrating in a marriage too. And like, look, we're learning how to deal with it like here and in not a marriage situation. It's so funny. Well, it actually makes me think a little bit about like conscious parenting, like what you were talking about earlier with the princes and the princesses and things like that. I try not to maybe I was going to say I try not to kill my kids' fun too much, but that actually probably isn't very true. I'm kind of a fun sucker. And I need to work on that a little bit, but like I'm constantly, when we're watching movies, I will just kind of point out here, just little things here and there with like the princesses or whatever. And I try to point out that, hey, this is good. And you need to, when you get married, you want to find somebody who treats you like gold and who treats you like that. But here's where this little princess story is kind of, maybe this isn't quite the way it should be. It's nice and fun and pretty and fluffy, but it's not actually the way the real world works. And it's just kind of funny because you and I are just kind of figuring those things out together in a friendship.
Oh my gosh, for real. And I love that you're teaching your kids that in movies. Like, what a great opportunity to take normal everyday experiences and be like, yo, children, like,
because let's be real, we watch way more movies than what than what even I would want them to be. And when I mean, they're like one movie a day, like that. And so it's not like my kids watch movies all day, but I'm like, you got to teach, you have to take every opportunity to teach that is there, because when you're exhausted and you're doing mom duties and dad duties, you have to look for those little opportunities throughout the day to teach those little lessons, rather than trying to like sit them down every 5 minutes to have like a little family home evening lesson, you know?
Yeah. And it just happens more organically too. It's so much easier
Yeah.
than be like, hey, we're all sitting down and we're all going to be reverent and like amazing. And like,
yes,
stop picking your nose and trying to like beat up your sister. Like it just
beat up your,
it's just like so much better, you know?
Oh my gosh. It's so true. It's so true. And it's kind of one of those things where you're like, okay, you need to realize where you're at, and you need to realize that it's progress, not perfection. And you're putting in your effort. The effort that you can put in is good enough, and grace comes in and takes care of the rest. When you are praying to your Heavenly Father and you are pleading for support and help and doing your best to give your kids what they need spiritually and in all the other ways, then you can allow Christ to come in and take up the extra that you just can't face that day. Because how often are we, like when we are married, we're exhausted by the end of the day, you know, magnify that by a lot when you're doing it by yourself. And you've just got to like recognize where you're at and build up to more, you know, not feel like you have to have it all figured out right away.
Oh, so true. And kind of like what we were talking about the other day, like just making 1% changes, you're going to be so much further along than if you try to make like 100% changes in like everything. Cause then you just crash and burn.
Yeah.
It just,
you're going to burn yourself out and you're going to give up.
Yeah. Oh, 1000%, 1000%. And kind of going back to what we were talking about earlier too, like sometimes we have those moments where we are burnt out and we're like, you know, the only thing my kids maybe got out of today was that they learned this from this movie, or that we had this conversation, or that, you know what, I freaking washed my hair today and I am bougie, you know? It's like, it's doing our best, like you were saying, and letting God take the rest. Like there's just this concept of like, we just try to be superhuman, and it's not meant to be that way. Like God wants us to do our best. And here's the other thing too, is I think that's why a lot of people choose to stay mediocre and just good enough, is because they're like, oh, it's just comfortable sitting here, and like it's too scary to try to stretch for more because I'm already burnt out.
Or I'm okay right here. I'm okay. Like I'm doing all I can, but you know, sometimes you're like, are you really though? Like,
right, exactly. Like if they really got honest with themselves and like really dug down and was like really deeply honest, they would realize I am not satisfied with how my life is going. But a lot of people are willing to admit that.
Right. That actually makes me wonder and think, when I've looked as I've looked back on things, when I have moments where I'm depressed or I'm anxious or I'm something, it's because I'm stagnant. It's because I'm living in the past and I'm stagnant and I'm refusing to move forward in either something that I've committed to do or something I'm afraid of doing or whatever it is. And like depression, you know, if you're depressing something, you're pushing it down, you're subduing it, you're that sort of thing. And so that just makes me think, like, if you're feeling unhappy in your life right now, there's probably something bigger calling you that's been tugging at you that you're not responding to.
Ooh. Bum, bum, bum.
Bum, bum, bum.
It reminds me of that talk. I'm trying to think of who it was by, but it's divine disconnect or like divine
discontent. Yeah.
Like that divine, like God created you for more. God created you to be joyful and like have so much amazing juiciness in life. But we get so caught up in like, well, this is what my parents' life looked like, or this is what, and obviously mom, like, you know, we think that it's impossible sometimes to feel that happiness, but we've got to be willing to follow that divine discontent and be like, okay, like, yeah, like I can grow. I can do a little bit more. And again, going back to that 1% and not settling for good. Go for great. Just pick one area that you can work on and just do a 1% change and get that habit under your belt so that you can just unconsciously get that habit going. And then it's like already started, then you can work on the next thing. And then you have that 1% moving forward in that area. And it just, that is going to change so much for you. And you're going to be able to step into greatness rather than just being stuck in this space of, well, it's just good enough. It's just good enough.
Right.
And then but it's not. Like, if we're being totally honest with ourselves, we want to grow. We do want to progress in whatever area it may be. And so follow those like pings of like, ooh, I really want to change this in my life. And I recognize I'm not okay for this. I'm not available for this anymore, right?
Yes, I am no longer available. I love it. Bree says that all the time. That makes me think. I was watching a podcast with Russell Brunson and Tony Robbins yesterday, and Tony teaches there's these fundamental needs that the personality needs, that the person needs. And there's certainty, uncertainty, significance, and a need for love and connection. And so as much as we need certainty, we also need the uncertainty. So we need the growth that comes from pushing ourselves. And I had another thought while you were talking. What was it? There's this phrase that we hear all the time in our church that says, don't look beyond the mark. And on a certain front, like, I get that in certain little scenarios, but I think we've gotten a little bit trapped in that phrase of not looking beyond the mark, because then we don't push at all. We don't push the boundaries of what we were made for. Like, Sherry Dew wrote a talk called "You Were Born to Lead, You Were Born for Glory." And just that title in and of itself, I'm like, oh my gosh, like, that just says it all. Yeah. Like, we're here to fulfill the measure of our creation. And when that was put into perspective was when I listened to something by Satema Gali. Like, he was like, you were put here. I will not leave here without fulfilling the measure of my creation. And so if you're in this situation where, if you're a single mom listening to this, or anybody listening to this, that it still applies to you, no matter where you're at, whether you're married and you're financially stable and all the things, or you're not married and you're trying to make ends meet and whatever it is. Like, you were not put here to live a mediocre life. Now, your life doesn't have to look the way my life does, like, or Bree's life or anybody's else's life, but fulfilling the measure of your creation is not looking beyond the mark. It's not bad. When Bree was talking about going from good to great, like, don't settle for good, go up to great. That, like, I just feel like our heavenly parents want that for us so much more than what we comprehend.
Oh, yes. Oh, 1000%. And you think about, like, what does it do when a woman shows up and she is pursuing her greatness? Like, look at the good that it does in the world, the impact that it has, and the light that it spreads. I think so often, especially in Christian culture, is that, like, I need to stay small. Like, I don't want to be too prideful, or I don't want to, like,
humble. They perceive that as being humble.
No, but the opposite is true. Like, if anything, it is more humble to show up with your light, your truth, your greatness, and show the world, because unconsciously what that does for other people is it gives them permission to do the same thing. When we show up unapologetically as we are, and like are working on ourselves, and we are growing and becoming more full of light, like, it gives other people permission to be like, oh, it's safe to do that. Because a lot of us, like, when we've grown up, maybe we've hit our light because we've been made fun of, or we've, afraid.
Yeah.
It's a human need, okay? Like, a human quality for us to want to fit into the crowd. And when we step outside that, and we choose to get outside of being average, we're going to have some haters. We're going to have people that think, oh my gosh, who is she to think that she can do that? Or like, if you're believe that she's moving forward with this, or whatever it is.
You subconsciously realize you're going to become a target.
Yes.
And all those things are going to happen. Yeah.
You know what? When you become a target, it all of a sudden doesn't matter anymore, because you are so consumed with sharing your light and your purpose and who you were created to be, that those things don't really matter. And you just send love and light. And sometimes you get a little frustrated at the haters, let's be honest. But for the most part, it's just like this overwhelming, like you're so in love with your life and your purpose that it doesn't really matter anymore. And you get comfortable being uncomfortable. You get comfortable like keeping your commitments to yourself. Like, one of my favorite things that I just wanted to say really fast that's just been hitting me so hard lately was, like we were talking about the panic attack earlier in our session tonight. And it was like, normally at that point in the past, I have quit, because it was like, I can't do this. Who am I to do this? Who am I to show up like this? I can't do this. But instead it was like, I'm going to rest and get a little relaxation and meditate, whatever I need to do to get past this, but I'm getting back on.
Right.
But I gave myself that time to recalibrate and then show up again. And it was that concept of like, I'm going to keep my commitments. When I say I'm going to freaking do something, I'm going to do it. And that's like the first step to getting out of that good mentality and stepping into greatness, because you're no longer letting yourself be run by these emotions of what you're feeling in the moment. You are committed to what you said you were going to do.
Yeah. And you did the job of figuring out what the emotions were trying to communicate to you. If you're having a panic attack, then there's something that needs to be taken care of. Sometimes it can be from just sleep deprivation. It can be from overthinking or whatever it is. And so you recognized that you needed to do a reset, and then you figured out what the reset was for you. So if you're dealing with that kind of stuff, emotions are information. Your body's trying to communicate with you. If you are not getting enough sleep, if you're not taking care of your body, if you're eating like poorly, if you're not getting out of the house, if whatever it is, your body is going to start to communicate with you, and so are your emotions. And so when Bree had that panic attack, she was like, okay, what do I need? What do I need? And I mean, it wasn't that clean. So when I say she was like, okay, what do I need to do? I mean, we're human, right? And sometimes things hit us, and maybe we've never experienced a panic attack before, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But the point is that like Bree and I have both just been through the ringer as far as educating ourselves about ourselves and about gaining tools in order to thrive in our lives. And so because you had put that effort in all of those years before that, when that moment hit, you had the tools and you knew yourself well enough that you knew how to take care of yourself, and you knew that this wasn't the end. This isn't going to last forever. Because a lot of what we're seeing, I just saw a post about it today, like a lot of the suicides that we see, the people who get to that point don't believe that there's any end. They don't believe that anything is going to change. And they believe that the world, their family, is better off without them. And we don't ever want anybody to get to that point. So that's another reason why we're sharing this podcast, is because we want you guys to know, like, what's normal? What's happening in the lives of these two random single moms on the planet? Like, how are they figuring things out? Or how are they like stumbling through life? How are they doing those things? Because hopefully it will make you feel a little bit more normal and make you feel like you're not alone.
Yes. It's so validating when you hear other people's stories and you're like, oh my gosh, you cut yourself shaving too? Like, or just like, these different things that we like worry
every
about.
day.
Oh my gosh,
you shave?
It was like one time, I'm not even joking you. One time I went to church, like sitting there, and my kids are sitting by me, and like Autumn's like,
oh no,
Mom, you're hairy. And I like look, I'm like, no, I shaved. I forgot one leg. So there I am sitting in church. One mass, like it is,
one hairy leg.
It is.
Hey, that makes it easier to cross your legs though, because the hair gives friction, you know?
Gives it some traction. For real.
Yeah. You're like, hey, that's my secret weapon for crossing my legs, man.
Secret weapon released. Yes.
That's right. Deployed. Oh my gosh.
Yes. Oh man, you guys.
Oh
we're
my
so
goodness.
excited to be doing this and like just showing up with our real raw stories, and we just look forward to going on this journey with all of you. And we deeply care about you already. Like, even though we don't know who you are right now, like, we just get it. Like, and we're excited to share our stories and what's helped us gain perspective and help us work through some of this dark, deep things that we've gone through. And
and we just want you guys so much to succeed, and we want you to know we know what it's like going through really, really hard, dark things, and really, really hard, dark things for a really long period of time, and over and over and over again. And because we have been able to figure out some things that have helped us, we want to be able to share those kinds of things with you, because no matter, again, whether you're a single mom or not, we want you to know that you can change the trajectory of your life, no matter where you're at. And no matter how low you feel like you are now, you always come up. It always comes up. And sometimes that low lasts for a really long time. Like, I'm not going to lie. Sometimes my dad died last year very unexpectedly, and it sent me into a spiral. When I had been in a pretty good place, it really threw me for a loop. And try as I might, no matter what I did, I could not force myself to come out of that until it was time. And so one of the tools that I had learned about that was surrendering to it and not fighting it. Cause I'm not one that, I don't like to sit in it. Like, I'm very logical. Like, can we just, like, I get it. I get that there's pain. Can we now move on? Like, whatever. And that just isn't the way things work all the time. So we want you to feel empowered by this. We want you to feel like you walked away feeling encouraged and like you're not alone and like you can do it. And we just hope that for you. And we want, here's another thing. We want you to know that we see your potential. Like, we know what it's like to crawl through that mud and that darkness and that hard. And we literally know that you can do it too. We watch you guys struggling. We watch moms around us struggling and just trying to fight through things. And because we've had to fight through them in such a specific way by ourselves with kids in tow, we've been forced to learn to do things in a way that we wouldn't have had to learn to do had we been married. And and we just know how capable you are. We just know, and we want you to know that too.
Yep. Amen. So good. So good.
Any other thoughts on there, my dear?
Should we talk about what we're launching?
Oh yeah. Do you want to tell them?
Yes. Okay. So which me and Mary sat down and we like birthed this baby. That's seriously what it felt like, you guys. Like,
friggin' heck.
we birthed this course. It's a fundamentals mom course, okay? Especially for single moms. Like, getting through some of these hard times requires that you have the right tools and weapons to fight the enemy that's literally at your door telling you you're not enough. That's literally at the door of your mind, like knocking there constantly, like trying to tell you to give up, right? Like, we just want to share these tools that have just completely transformed our lives and helped us get through these hard times and helped us to like really start to feel better. So yeah. Do you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, it's a course to help you become independently strong, for you to become strong within yourself. One of my favorite phrases that I always think about when I think about a future spouse and just couple goals and things like that is independently strong together. And that just goes right along with being equally yoked and equal. And I just had this conversation actually with my oldest son out there. We were watching Ever After, and he was like so annoyed at the part where the gypsies are attacking the prince, and the prince tells Danielle to stay up in the tree and she doesn't listen. He was like, he just told you to stay up there and she's not listening. And I was like, dude, like, you want a strong wife. You don't want to be married to a weak, pushover type of a person, just like a man doesn't want to be married to a weak, pushover type person. You want to be strong. Each one of you want to be strong, because then you're stronger together. You're a better team. You are a better person individually, and that makes you a better team together. So this course is all about helping you become the strongest version of you, so that whether you're single and you're looking for a partner, or you're already married, and whatever it is, it's about helping you become strong within yourself. Because, and here's one of the driving forces behind it. What if tomorrow you didn't have what you had today? What if tomorrow something happened to your spouse and they died unexpectedly? Would you be able to pick up the pieces of your life and be able to keep moving forward? I believe you can. I believe you would. But it is better to prepare for war and plan for peace than it is to not prepare at all. It's better to be a warrior in the garden than a gardener at war. And there's a lot of hard stuff going on with a lot of people right now. Like, it's just left and right, hard things happening with people. And so now is the time to prepare. Now is the time to make yourself strong, to train your body, to train your mind, so that you are strong and prepared for whatever it is that may come knocking at your door. And that's what this is about.
Oh my gosh. Yes. And just little bits of, like, to add with that is, part of it is, like, we're going to be talking about money. We're going to be talking about healing your self-worth. We're going to be talking about your relationship with yourself and building that foundation, and really, like, having that relationship with Christ as well, because you cannot do this alone. Like, you're not created to do this alone, and it's going to require you.
You don't have to do it alone.
Exactly. Oh, exactly. And it's going to require you to strip away all the old identities that are no longer serving you, so that you can build a solid foundation. You can't build your empire upon a sandy foundation. You just can't. It is required for you to let things go. And so this is just like a strong, like, to the point, like,
we're going to push you.
Yeah. It is a program. We're both very, like, pumped up about this. It is warrior. It is a warrior mode type program. It is a kick in the ass. So we're excited about that. So if you have questions about it. Oh, go ahead, Mary.
Oh, no. I was just going to say, so I was going to tell the funny story with my sister on the phone the other day. So we were talking about some things, and I usually try very hard to speak in her language. And this day on the phone, I was not having it. And I went off on Mary Warrior language, and I'm like attacking the problem, and I'm coming at it like with my battle axe and like all these things. And she, like, at the end, I finally, like, she said some things, and then I said some things different, and she goes, "Oh, I get it. So you mean this, this, and this." And I was like, "Dude, that's what I've been saying for the last 45 minutes. Like, where have you been?" And she was like, "No, but you finally said it in a way that I could understand." And I went, "Oh, the language barrier." I was like, "Okay, sis, like, just remember, if you ever get caught, if we ever do this again, just remember that Mary is speaking in Mary language. And so interpret it into your language. And I promise that I do normally try to speak in your language, but sometimes I just need to speak in my language, and just know that I love you." So that's kind of what Bree was referring to there. We just,
Yeah.
We don't want you to ever feel like we're just like screaming and yelling at you. It's just like, that is just how we communicate. And we're just super passionate about things. And because we've seen how hard it is, and we've seen people drown, and we know what it feels like to be drowning. And we know the pain that you're in because we have experienced it like you have. Yeah. And we know what the possibilities are. We know what the potential on the other side of things are. And we want that for you as well.
Yes. And exactly like what you were saying, like it's sometimes it feels harsh or it feels hard, but we have to show up for you this way so that we can help you have those tools and strengthen that inner wisdom that you possess this within yourself, but it's required for you to bring that out so that you can win the war. And so that's why in this program, we're going to show up in that warrior mode. And of course, we're going to love you and hold you and help you with that. But it's in a way of like tough love.
Yes. Because we know the importance of both sides. We know that there is a time to be held and there's a time to be pushed. And both can come from a place of love.
Yep.
Absolutely.
For sure.
So if you have any questions, where can they find you at, Bree?
I'm on Instagram at Coach Bree Renee, BREERENE.
Spell out Renee.
Yeah, I just did. And then
I said it and it lagged.
Oh, okay. But yeah, so Coach Bree Renee on Instagram or Bree Renee on Facebook. You can also find me on TikTok, Coach Bree Renee as well. And again, it's BREE and then RENEE. What about you, Mary? How can they find you?
On Instagram, you can find me at Mary E. McIntosh, and McIntosh is spelled MCINTOSH. You can find me at Mary McIntosh on Facebook. And then on TikTok, I'm actually having to look because I don't know. I'm just new to TikTok. I finally have decided that there is some business value to TikTok. So you can find me there at Mary McIntosh 325. Oh man.
So yeah, if you guys have questions and you're ready to
all right.
Just go ahead and message either of us and we'll help you get started.
Heck yeah. And we will be back next week with another episode of Mom Talks with Mary and Bree. Bye.
Bye.